a Diario de Cuba. Hoy conectamos con el productor de la película Alina de Cuba, Martínez O'Felan. Este filme está siendo muy esperado. Aún no se ha estrenado, nos tiene con la miel en los labios, pero trata sobre la juventud de Alina Fernández, que es la hija ilegítima de Fidel Castro, y su posterior exilio a España al ser opositora del régimen cubano. Martínez tiene raíces hispanas, mexicanas, e intenta con su trabajo como director de una productora que se llama Entertainment impulsar al cine latino en la industria. Thank you for being with us, Mr. Martinez. How are you?
Excellent. How are you doing today?
Good, good. It's good to hear you, and I'm wishing talking about this movie. I really counting days to see it. I want to start asking you, what were the main challenges of producing Alina of Cuba, such a delicate story because it's very delicate for Cubans especially, and how did it come that you get this chance, this work?
Well, I think it started as a passion for me back in 2006. Alina's been a great friend of mine for a really long time. And, I met her back then. And during that time, I saw, when Fidel Castro stepped down because he was ill, and me being a big history buff, I saw a great opportunity to really create something that united Hispanics around the world and also respected, our history and also honored the new history that was unfolding.
Mm-hmm. I have heard that Alina was a co-producer. She was like supervising all the details because, of course, it's her story in the end, right? So how was this collaboration together?
It was quite fantastic. I think the project would not have been the same without her. I think as a consultant, she brought a lot to the table with regards to, the authenticity of a lot of the material. And so she was a great consultant with the production designers, with the director. And so, I think she really did do an awesome job. So it was quite an experience.
I imagine, is she happy with the result? Have you seen the movie together, and how was that experience?
Well, we're still going through the editing. I mean, I think that she was very excited, being able to witness it firsthand and see it unfold and watch it on the director screen. And so I feel like, she was able to witness it firsthand and really, observe what it was going to be like. As far as the cut that we have now, she hasn't seen it because we're still in editing, but we plan to show it to her here as soon as we wrap that shortly.
I see. And I want to talk about the choice of James Franco for the role of Fidel Castro. That was very controversial, no? What do you think as a producer of this film, because you were working together, of course, and how did you see him in the role?
Well, I thought, that's an interesting question. And, after cracking my own lineal code, I'm Hispanic and with deep roots back to Spain that go all the way back to Galicia, somewhere around 1600 BC. And so in looking at the history in my own research, I learned that many Iberian descendants share a royal Portuguese and Spanish root that dates back, hundreds and even thousands of years back to the time that people were arriving in groups to the US generations ago. Many were actually Hebrews fleeing the Spanish Inquisition, and a mass portion of the US actually has Latin Hebrew roots that are traceable and don't realize it. And so when I found out online that James was of Portuguese ancestry, and I watched some of his videos and listened to the crackle in his voice, I felt that he was the perfect Fidel Castro, especially because Castro was mostly European. I've studied a lot of, the history on that. And his dad was actually born in Galicia, Spain, which is part of my own trail of my own ancestors also shared. So, I think that to me, it really spoke to me in terms of inclusivity and being a symbol that brought together people of intergenerational Latin roots.
Mm-hmm. No, that honestly, they are very similar, like physically, right? Like when Fidel Castro was young, of course. And what is the essence of this film for you? What are we going to see in this movie?
Well, I think we're going to see more of a Renaissance piece of our times. I think it's, we're going to take a look back at history from an artistic representation. And, it's bringing Alina's story to life is really what the film is ultimately about. And, James being a lead character in it, he's Fidel Castro. And so I think that we really get to see, two sides of history. We get to see the old generation, and then we get to see the next generation in America. And I think it really represents Cuba's legacy in America. For me, Cuba Cuba is one of the holy lands of Spain, being the motherland, and so I feel like, you know, it's important to honor the history of the trail that got us to where we are today.
Mm-hmm. And I want to talk about your job, your work, because you are a producer, you are very involved in the Latin cinema. So why are you very focused in this area? And what are the main challenges for Latin cinema in the industry nowadays? And how the industry can do more to promote the Latin representation?
Well, I think you know, I coined the term Hispanic cinema because it's a new term, you know, and no one's really using it. And I really came up with that as an idea to promote my next couple of films, which aim to unite U.S. Hispanics, Spanish, and Latin American awards artists on cross-market collaborations. So right now, there's over there's 24 million Spanish Mexican Americans, and you know, in America, you know, it's really overlooked. The Hispanic market is very overlooked as a whole. So in addressing that challenge, I saw an opportunity with this film to package it and unite the various industries to create a new format and a new, you know, distribution format for the studio system to really, you know, serve that demand that has been that hasn't been being served so far.
And how's the situation of the Latin cinema right now in the industry?
Well, in Hollywood, you know, I've pursued the business for a really long time, and I've had a really good way in and being able to see, you know, the process and understand the system and understand the agencies and the studios and the management systems. And honestly, Hispanic cinema really doesn't exist yet. And that's because no one is producing universal Hispanic content. You know, most of what we've been seeing is publicly is more of a battle of opinions and revisionist ideals and propaganda from actors and producers. And we've seen that more than we have actual development and production solutions. So that type of publicity has created a lot of argumentative division between directors and talent within the various Hispanic industries in America, Latin America, and Spain. So with my next few films, my goal is to really unite those markets and prove that the content carries. And that is so I consider this as the birth of a new era of Hispanic cinema.
Exactly, and we want to see new faces, right? Because I feel that we have like so many talent and a few faces in the industry, and it's like unfair, right? Which young Latin actors, directors do you see with a special potential nowadays?
Well, one director that I'm a huge fan of right now is Carlos V. Gutierrez. He's a Cuban director and very talented. His work was nominated for a Student Academy Award while he was in college. He went on to win the Emmy. You know, just like other Hispanics, he had a great struggle in developing his career in Hollywood, and so he actually went on to work in national commercials. But then when I saw his film work, you know, I really saw someone that really deserved to, you know, really tell his stories to the world. And so he's someone that I'm working with next on Barton Creek, which is about a wrongfully convicted Cuban who migrated to America and was forced to learn the language and forced to learn the legal system in order to free himself.
Mm-hmm. I have read that you are working in other important productions. What is it about?
Well, I'm working on a couple of productions right now. I mean, we've got a slate that really aims to highlight, you know, the Hispanic talent and Hispanic community within Hollywood. And so, you know, next up, we've been exploring teeing up a project called Anna in the Tropics. It's based on the Pulitzer Prize-winning play. It's an ensemble awards piece. They've done by the first Hispanic to ever win the Pulitzer Prize for drama, Nilo Cruz. Also, he's a Cuban immigrant also. And then there's Barton Creek, which I mentioned. And so, yeah, I mean, I think these are all going to be inclusive pieces for Hispanics, you know, to really put their teeth, you know, into awards projects. But, you know, I don't want to, you know, write off the idea that it's specifically only going to be Hispanic, because I believe in diversity and I'm taking a non-biased approach in our work. So I believe that, you know, these projects will incorporate American actors, Latin American actors, and also Spanish actors. So we want to be more diverse in our casting. And I think that's what our focus with Hispanic cinema really is, and moving it forward is, you know, bringing our culture to light, but not beating it in people's heads, you know, showing it on the screen and bringing the art to life.
Mm.
Human stories.
and content-based, really, to see this movie, to see Alina of Cuba, and of course all the projects that you have in your hands right now. Thank you for being with us in Diario de Cuba, Mr. Martinez. Thank you for your work, also your job of promoting the Latin cinema in the industry that I see is complicated, but it's not impossible, and you are doing it. So thank you again for being with us, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Awesome.
We keep in touch.
Have a great one. Bye-bye.